We can't help but be skeptical about knife block sets. Their biggest selling point has always been the number of pieces manufacturers manage to cram into the package, not the quality or the usefulness of the actual knives. It might be convenient and easy to get so many knives at once, but when you get right down to it, you only really need 3 knives: a chef's knife, a paring knife, and a serrated bread knife. A boning knife, slicing knife, and a great pair of kitchen shears can make certain tasks easier, but they aren't must-haves. Now, have we always been too cynical in rejecting knife sets? We decided to find out. We bought 8 sets with anywhere from 6 to 9 pieces at a wide range of prices, from $97 all the way to nearly $700. We compared these sets to each other and also to an a la carte selection of our test kitchen favorites that made up our own set of all-stars. We judged the sets on the performance and comfort of each piece, how many pieces in the set were essential, and how many struck us as filler. Now, the only way to test a knife set is to put each knife through the paces. We started by singling out the core blades in each set, chef's, paring, and serrated knives, and testing them against one another in basic tasks. We diced onions, we minced herbs, and we broke down a whole chicken with each chef's knife. With the paring knives, we peeled, quartered, and cored apples. With serrated bread knives, we sliced large, crusty loaves of bread and cubed soft stacks of Wonder Bread to test their sharpness, their handling, and their ability to slice through delicate foods without crushing. Then we examined the other pieces to see if they offered any additional value to the set or were just there to take up space. The good news is that most of the chef's knives were pretty good. Most were our preferred length of 8 inches, they were easy to handle, and they cut effortlessly. But 3 had blades that were thicker than ideal, so they crushed onions and bruised parsley. The paring knives were not so impressive. Half were too wide or ungainly, which made careful work more difficult. The best were 4 inches or less, with slim, pointed, slightly flexible blades that gave us precision and control. Now, when it came to the bread knives, length was the biggest downfall. They were too short, 8 or 9 inches compared to our 10-inch favorite. When we cut large loaves, short knives got lost. It made us struggle to make neat slices. We wondered if manufacturers were trimming the bread knives to fit in the block, so we put our favorite Wüsthof Classic 10-inch bread knife into the slot for its counterpart in the Wüsthof Classic set, which came with an 8-inch bread knife. And guess what? The 10-inch fits fine. Turns out they save money by shrinking the knives, but you get shortchanged. We discovered that block sets are not compiled according to usefulness. They're designed for retailers who want the most pieces at the lowest price. And by the way, the block always counts as one of the pieces. Finally, we tested the other half of the equation, the extras. The most common was a so-called utility knife. This is a generic industry term for any blade bigger than a paring knife and smaller than a chef's knife. Most were 4.5 to 6.5 inches. Some were serrated. We also found sandwich, tomato, and citrus knives and other single-task blades, which were about the same size as the utility knives. We tested these too. And just as we suspected, when we tried the same task with chef's knives, every single time the chef's knife was faster, easier, and performed better. Some of the other knives in these sets were redundant too, such as carving knives and santokus. Carving knives with pointed tips are not the best choice. The points snag on the meat and it makes it harder to slice neatly. Yet most of the sets had these rather than a rounded tip slicer. One set had a rounded slicer, but it had that shrinking problem again and was just too short. Here's a tip. Anything you could do with a pointed carving knife, you could do better with a chef's knife. Honing steels were in about half these sets. And while these are useful to tune up your knives, most home cooks don't know how to use them properly. I suspect it's just another way they pad out these sets. The boning knives in sets that had them were pretty good. And a few sets included kitchen shears, but most of these were wimpy compared to our favorite pair from Shun, with its long, super sharp blades and comfortable handles that made cutting the backbone out of a chicken feel effortless. In the end, our testing confirmed our worst suspicions. You are better off shopping for knives a la carte. You get better pieces and only pay for what you really need. If you must have a set, the Wüsthof Classic 8420 8-piece deluxe block set for about $380 and the Victorinox Rosewood Deluxe 7-piece knife block set at $190 had well-constructed knives and more of the types we found most useful. But because they also include knives we didn't find to be the best length or style or that we found non-essential, we can only recommend them with reservations. So what do we suggest? Our a la carte set of All-Stars has 7 pieces for $309, which is an average price compared to many of these sets, with every piece a proven winner.